If you live in the Intermountain Area, then you're probably aware of the high amount of wildfire fuels that surround us. If a wildfire comes through and you've already been evacuated, defensible space may be the only thing stopping a wildfire from consuming your home. Flying embers are the biggest threat to structures. Embers hold heat, they can travel for miles in the wind, and they can easily accumulate along structures' walls and crevasses. The closer things are to your house, the more important it is that it is not combustible. We can remove fire fuels and defend from embers effectively without breaking our backs or the bank. The most effective place to start for most Intermountain residents is the 5 feet from your house starting at the wall. If there is a fire coming through, those embers can be flying miles ahead of the fire depending on the wind. If you have wood siding, space for heat to sneak into, or combustibles in this zone, it's a recipe for disaster. Keep this area clean, lay down rocks, bricks, or pavers, and use non-combustible siding. Luckily, the Intermountain Area is full of lava rock. It looks awesome, feels great to walk on, and will disperse heat better than most rocks. Those embers will wind up on your roof, so removing debris from your roof and gutters is something you'll want to keep up on. It's quick and easy compared to most fuel removal tasks, and a leaf blower works great, but it can be done by hand too. Aside from the embers, radiant heat, such as a giant burning pine tree right next to your garage, relies on proximity to spread. If a large tall tree were to catch on fire, chances are it'll probably catch on the top of its canopy. As it burns, those branches will eventually turn into flaming widowmakers crashing down onto whatever might be underneath. So anticipate where those branches will fall and possibly where the tree will fall, and keep those areas clear as you can. Although you might be surprised how many trees do not burn or fall in a wildfire. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do without some serious equipment, but if you've got some money to invest, there are some really cool things you can do to retrofit your home. A metal roof might be a good idea for spots that are under those big trees and have many other advantages other than being fire resistant. Screening porches and under decks can prevent embers from flying in and will help you resist the temptation to store potentially combustible items under your deck. Always remember how important the 5 feet from your house is when making design choices to your home.
Hi, my name's Monty Cady. I'm the Burney Fire Chief, and I wanted to talk to you about some fire-related stuff. Coming up is our fire season, and we all get a little more nervous when we start getting warm weather and drier weather. Every winter we get needle fall, we get a lot of stuff that grows in our yards, and it's important for us to go out and clean that up. Not only to keep our community looking nice, but also to keep it fire safe. When we clean our homes and remove the ladder fuels where the fires can't go from the ground fire up into the trees, this is just good husbandry of our property and our homes, and it keeps the fires from getting up into the aerial fuels that can move from property to property and destroy more and more homes. I'm often asked about what are we going to do to keep our community from being another paradise. There's a lot of things that we can do, and what I've talked about is some, and we live in an area that's not paradise. We live in a flat basin. Paradise is more of a valley that had a kind of a chute that went up where the fire was driven by the winds that are created by the terrain. And so we're a little safer there. We also have a fire break all the way around Burney, Fall River, or Burney and Johnson Park, and the agricultural lands around MacArthur and Fall River help us and protect our communities from the large fires that might approach our communities. That does not keep us safe from the fires that start within our communities, and that's where we need to do our due diligence. There's a program out on Black Ranch Road that takes green waste, and that's a great way for us to get rid of those leaves and limbs and needles instead of burning them in our backyard. Also, it's important, and I'll end with this last thing. We need to be careful with our fire, but if it does occur, we need to be prepared. And that preparation includes us having water and things, whatever that thing is, your medication, your glasses, your information, ready to go in a go bag or a go pack. If you have an RV, that's a built-in evacuation center for you. So just be smart, take some time ahead. When things are in crisis mode, it's difficult to make good decisions. But when things are not in crisis mode, it's difficult for us to think about the bad time. What I'm encouraging you to do right now is just take a moment and think about what would happen if you were forced to leave your home and you don't know if you're coming back. Now that's easy because you can say, well, I'd take everything. Now put into that a 30-minute, a 2-hour time frame where everything that you need to get needs to be in whatever you're going to drive in within the next 30 minutes, within the next 2 hours. Now you kind of get an idea where you can be with your work, with not only cleaning up the limbs and needles, but also maybe putting together a couple of totes that can go in the car, maybe a crate for the dog, and a plan on where to go. Thank you very much, and I hope we have a very safe fire season this year.
Hi community members, this is Todd Sloat with the Pitt and Fall River Resource Conservation Districts. I serve as a project manager and watershed principal, and I've been doing that for about 20 years. Just wanted to give a brief message to you all, and thanks for Garrett, the coordinator of the Fire Safe Council, for providing this opportunity. So from the big picture perspective, the Burney Hat Creek Community Forest and Watershed Group has been operating and working with multiple partners for several years to try to improve forest health and fuels in this region. We're excited now that after many years in collaboration with that group, with our federal and state partners, that I feel like we finally gained some synergy and are really able to implement some large-scale treatments on the landscape. You've probably seen a lot of the work that's been happening around Burney with the Jackrabbit timber harvesting plan through Sierra Pacific Industries. That project will really provide some fuel reduction closer to town. And then on the broader landscape level, we have multiple projects with our federal partners on the U.S. Forest Service managed lands, whereby we're implementing and helping them implement forest health projects and fuel reduction projects. That also includes prescribed burning. And so, as many of you know, our state is in a big deficit. We need to burn in a more controlled way the landscape as our fellow Native Americans used to many years ago, but we're behind the 8 ball on that. There's lots of hurdles to get over, but we're making some great progress. We'd love to see and continue to see a culture of philanthropy in the region, where the community members help community members. The Fire Safe Council has some great programs up there, like the Green Waste Program, the wood heat for those in need, and we're really hopeful that community members kind of step up and help their neighbors, especially those that don't have the ability to reduce the fuel loads in their yards and on their property. Those fuel loads really pose a high risk to their structure and to adjacent structures if they happen to catch on fire.